Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday's teachings. Do take a look at the description below and do sign up to my channel and hit the bell notification so that you're notified 3 times a week. So this week I've been inquiring about the wisdom of the direct path to self and the all is self, and regarding that some of the reality transurfing teachers that I'm being trained as a reality transurfing coach and trainer, as well as a lot of the consciousness work I've done in Advaita Vedanta, in Shri Vidya, in many paths that I've been trained in. And I'm basically merging all of them because at the end of the day, everything says the same. And everything we should know is always unfolding as it should, because the universe is the greatest teacher. Because we are the universe. We contain the entire universe within the self. And today's teaching is quite intense, and you may like to listen to it again and again, because with different levels of consciousnesses, you may get different information from it. So, in the Vedic scriptures, a jnani is somebody who is a knowledgeable person, an enlightened person. And a jnani is somebody who has realized that they are the teacher themselves, and that in the external world, throughout their life, they had created teachers to wake them up. And these teachers would not be here if you were not dreaming about the teacher or wanting to know more and more about yourself. Because all is self. And to realize that we create from our mind in the external world events and things in order to awaken us. We do this all by ourselves. Let that land. You see, the highest teaching eventually in the world is pure silence. There is no higher teaching than pure silence. Often when you sit in the presence of an enlightened master, a sage, a guru, your mind automatically becomes purified and you have no more questions to ask. There are no words to be exchanged. And the truth, the authenticity of silence becomes the ultimate reality of that moment. Everything in this world exists through silence. And true silence really means going very deeply within the self, to a place where nothing, no thing is happening. And in this place, we transcend space and we transcend time. You simply enter a brand new dimension of nothingness. And that is where all the power is, because the power, the true power of silence, is unconditional love. And this is your real home, your Om, sweet Om. And that is where you really, really belong. In deep, deep silence, where there is no good, where there is no bad. There is only the central 0 point of neutrality, where nobody is trying to achieve anything, because you're already the pure being. within your knowingness. You are just pure beingness. Just like you were within your mother's womb. If you can imagine, through this metaphor that I will be using, of a clay pot, an empty clay pot. Now, the clay pot has space around it and space within it. And the space that is within the clay pot is no different to the space outside of the clay pot. And one day, when this clay pot breaks, the internal space merges with the external space. And what are we left with? Only space. And so this is the same with us as human beings, because we are 99.99% empty space. Our body is like the clay pot, and it appears that we have to go within ourself to find the truth. And the outward appears to be within us, but the outward is only a projection of what is within us. The outward is also without us, because all there is infinite, boundless, limitless space. And so when our body consciousness is transcended, it's like the broken clay pot, and the self within you becomes the self outside of you, as it's always been. And the self merges with the self. This is known as the Atma, and it is also called the Brahman. Because when there is no body in the way, the Atma and the Brahman become one. You and Source become one in free liberation, in moksha, in nirvana. And those of you who are in search of liberation from the manifested world will gain it only when you learn to become quiet. Because the world is in fact nothing other than the creation of your mind. And only by removal of thoughts, including the I thought, will one truly become the reality of the whole, of the Brahmanda, so that you can shine forth. As Sat, truth, Chit, consciousness, Anand, bliss. And this means that one has transcended the ego and has realized this Satchitanand. And after acknowledging to oneself that one exists, and whether you are awake or dreaming or in deep sleep, to know that you always, in all ways exist. One then responds to every thought that arises with the question of, who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? Where is my source? Who is my source? What am I looking for? Who is the personal I? Who am I? Who am I talking about with the personal I? Who is this? Who is that? Where did it all come from? Who gave birth to this? And as we pose more and more questions, we know that we keep coming back to the empty absolute nothingness of spaciousness, because you are simply watching your thoughts come and go like waves in the ocean or clouds in the sky. And as soon as the thoughts come in, you have to ask yourself, to whom are these thoughts coming? Are they coming to me? Am I thinking them? Who's creating them? And who is this I? And where did it come from? How did this arise? From where did it arise? Who is the I? Who am I? And stay completely still. Allow the thoughts to come like guests in your house. And you do the same thing again and again and again. And sit there in silence for as long as it takes. Because there are simply 4 main principles in the path of self-realization, of noble wisdom. Principle number 1. Say you have a feeling, a complete understanding that everything you see, everything in the universe, everything in the world simply emanates from your mind. All is self. So in other words, you feel this. You do not have to think about it or try to bring it on. It just comes by itself. It's a part of you, and that's why it comes. Accept it. And to realize that everything you see around you, the people, the places, the insects, the birds, the minerals, the fruits, the vegetables, the universe, your mind, your body, everything is a manifestation of your mind. Change your thoughts to change your reality. Principle number 2. You have a strong feeling, a deep realization that you're unborn. You're not born. You do not experience a life, and you do not disappear. You suddenly realize that you don't die, and you realize that you exist as the I am, because existence always exists. It's only the creation that seems to pop up into it time and time again. Because rule number 1, you've always existed and you'll always exist. And your pure beingness of existence is pure intelligence. It is the absolute reality. That's your true nature. And you exist as this Sat Chit Anand, truth, consciousness, bliss. So you, the real you, the authentic you, are bliss consciousness. And so you realize that you do not exist as the body. You do not exist as the person, as the personal reality, the personality that you see, or the place, or the thing, or your car, or your house, or your watch. No, you are pure existence. Rule number 3. You are aware and you have a deep inner standing and understanding of the egoless of all things, because you realize you're part of everything and that everything else does not have an ego, only what you're making it out to be. And I'm not speaking of sentient beings, I'm speaking of the animal kingdom, vegetable kingdom, mineral kingdom, the human kingdom. Nothing has an ego. There is no ego, because all is self and all is so sacred, because all is just pure existence. And so everything that I'm looking at is God. And only when the ego comes does God disappear. So can you look at everything as if it's you're looking into the eyes of God, through the eyes of God? Because when there is no ego, you have reverence, compassion, love for everything, everybody, and all. There is only divine consciousness as the all is self, and everything becomes divine consciousness. Ramana Maharishi was once asked by somebody, how do you treat others? And he said, there are no others. There is only you, and you are God. And so whatever you see is God. And so I come to the final principle, principle number 4. You have a deep understanding, a deep feeling of what self-realization and the nobility of this sacred wisdom really is. You see, you can never know about it by reading about it or attending various courses about it. You have to find out for yourself what it really is, because this is absolute reality. It's truth. And you can only know by finding out what it is not, because we live in the duality realm of polarity. And so this is why you say, this is my body, but it's not your body. This is my mind, but it's not your mind. These are my thoughts, but they're not your thoughts. These are my organs. Everything is empty and meaningless until you give it meaning. And when you've gone through everything, the animals, the plants, the universes, the thoughts, your world, your organs, your mind, your body, the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, the constellations, the universes, the omniverses, absolutely everything. And then there is nothing left. Why? Because you've emptied yourself out and you are completely empty, detached, yet connected. Then you know that you have reached the state of nirvana, moksha, the ultimate oneness with the para Brahma called Source. So this is Wednesday's wisdom teachings, and I invite you to really hone in on this and listen to it time and time again. You can listen to it with your eyes open or closed. You can look at the sky and the trees or a bird. You can look at your own self in the mirror. You can look at your eyes and go into a meditation with this. Use it as you like. But listen to it time and time again so that you know who you are, because only consciousness exists and all is well in your world. Please share this with those people who it would resonate with. And thank you. Thank you for being.